It's a cold and wet one today. Damn it. Because tomorrow's weather is going to be near identical. I'm going to take you into one of my favorite grocery stores, La Bonita. We're going to get some chuck roast and we're going to make one of my favorite tacos of all times. I don't need a cart today. I know what I want. I'm going to need 3 pounds of chuck roast. Yes, 3 pounds. We're going to get to cooking today, folks, but it's going to be a process. No line today. No line. That's good. I wonder if I should have got another pound. It doesn't seem like a lot. I feel like I need some things that I didn't see at home, like tomatoes. One a little more firmer. I guess that'll be all right. That'll be all right. And get 3 of them. 3 pounds of chuck roast and 3 Roma tomatoes. Let's get to the house, get out of this rain. You know I gotta get me some coffee. This time I remember to tell them to stir my coffee around. It doesn't matter to me if it's cold or hot. I'll end up eating hot noodles in the middle of summer, July in Las Vegas, which is usually peak temperatures, record breakers for the last 3 years. But then when it's cold, I like to have cold drinks. I even like to go to Cold Stone and get my favorite ice cream, birthday cake remix. And then I tell them to add marshmallows in there and Reese's peanut butter cups. Oh, we're next. These tacos are gonna be so amazing. Your grandma would say, get out the house so she could call her girlfriends over and start talking chismes. Very good. I forgot one very important thing that I'm not gonna be making myself because it's a lot easier to buy it in packages, and that's gonna be some flour tortillas. But I'll end up getting them later. Always make sure to wash your hands and be mindful of not cross-contaminating things. Folks, also the weather is pretty crappy today, and I was looking at what the weather was gonna be like tomorrow, and it's not good. This weather is nuts right now. And out of all the weekends, it has to be the one we're gonna go sell at the flea market. And not just me, this affects all the other vendors that are there tomorrow that rely on selling there. And so do I. I rely on selling where I go to and make the most of it. I was just talking to Carrie, the Desert Mermaid, who's gonna be joining me this weekend. And she reminded me that I have totes. Simple solution, rather than throwing all the clothes on the ground like I intended to before and have done in the past. I'm gonna get the bags of clothes that you've seen in the previous videos from the previous days. I'm gonna get those bags of clothes and now put them in the totes with the lid so that way they're protected. I'm gonna have them out tomorrow, and I think that's gonna be a really good idea. And I found this at the thrift store for around $14. Cleaned it up, very nice. They sell very well. But as you see, it's not the only ninja item I found at the thrift store. Let's get this one in the back, the shy one. I probably used all of them, at least 2 of them, not sure yet. And then the roast beef here, let me take it out, but as you can see, they're pretty chunky. We're gonna cut that down to size. 3 pounds of roast beef. Nice sharpened knife, not a flimsy one because it makes it a lot harder. Carla doesn't like too much of the fat on here, and with roast beef, the way they cut it, you usually end up having quite a bit of fat. So it's good, but what I like to actually do, rather than throwing away the fat, I like to kind of cook it up a little bit and use it for some of the flavoring in and during the process of this. It took about 10 minutes to cut it down. Wash your hands one more again. Gotta wash your hands after touching that meat. It's really important to have a sharpened knife. If you have pain in your hands like I do have signs of carpal tunnel. I get numbness from these 2 fingers all the way down on both arms and hands. So make it easier on yourself. Start sharpening your knives. I'm gonna end up taking the skin off this onion right here. It's better to do it over your trash can rather than in one area, then cleaning that up and then so on and so forth. Dry skin on the outside, those layers, at least 2, sometimes 3, are what I look for of getting rid of. I don't care if the tomatoes are finely chopped into little bitty pieces. To me, sizes like this are pretty good. I also like eating tomatoes just like this with a little bit of salt. That's really good tomato. I had to do it. I had to do it. Just those simple little flavors of salt and tomato. Sarap. Now I gotta get my better than bouillon, some minced garlic, and I think everything else is gonna be more like flour, a little bit of starch, water, salt and pepper, onion powder, maybe even throw some more garlic powder. Minced garlic. Unfortunately, somebody ended up using all of my beef better than bouillon. They also have a chicken version, which I'm not going to use because it's not chicken that I'm using. Black pepper, we're going to have to crush this ourselves, flip it over, start twisting it around and start coming out. Ground cumin. I love cumin. Comino. This is the flavor that makes this meal special. White pepper, which a lot of people don't use. Love white pepper. I like using it in a lot of things. And then we're gonna have some more onion on top of the onion we already have in here. And just a dash of this Goya, the perfect seasoning. Be careful when using it. You take away from the flavor that is actually going towards of what you want when you expect to bite into carne guisada. This is getting me so excited about making this right now. We're not even done yet. Coffee break. It wasn't too hard to find Carla's seasoning stash. I really don't cook too often, but I want to cook more, and I'm glad I'm sharing this with you. And if you're enjoying this and never heard of carne guisada or had it before, make sure you hit the thumbs up button for learning something new. And if you're in Texas or ever go visit it, more in the South Central, around San Antonio, maybe even south of San Antonio, make sure to get a carne guisada taco with cheese. You gotta have the cheese. 3 cups of tap water. This is saying that you want a teaspoon for every cup of water. So let's get 3 of those now. This smells really good, by the way. There's some clumps in there that I don't want to get, but it doesn't matter because I'm gonna stir this all up anyways. And then I'm also gonna get another cup of water of, was that 3 or 4? Oh well, that's good enough. Stir this around, get the little clumps out of there. You would think powdered stuff would just blend easily, but some things like flour and starch tend to do the same thing. They'll clump up. So you don't want to add dry starch on something moist like meat while it's cooking because it makes it even harder to just get those clumps out. And if you don't do it right, you might serve some food to somebody and they're going to get a little bite of flour, starch, or bouillon. And especially not a bouillon. That is super salty. It's happened to me before when I was a kid. I didn't know any better. I just threw a bouillon in, thinking I knew what I was doing. Then my dad got mad because he bit into something that was just straight bouillon cubes. Oops. Blended up very well. I got the cup of water, and with flour and starch is a little tricky. So you want to add a little bit, and you don't want it being super thick when you stir this up. It's blending nicely, but it's still too watery for me. And when it blends in with the water and everything else, it is going to make a big difference. And I like my carne guisada tacos to have a really rich, thick gravy to it. All right, a little bit of cornstarch. I've only used flour for my carne guisada. And I figured I'm going to try some cornstarch. So you don't need to use cornstarch. This is a small little teaspoon. That was like half of a teaspoon right there. You don't need very much. This will be added at the very end. Put that back and put it back where I found it, just like everything else, because if not, Carla's gonna get really mad at me. She doesn't like when people move her stuff around and it's not where she places stuff. Her mom is notorious for putting things any kind of place, but who's the one that gets scolded? The poor husband. Poor husband's coffee break. Wow, this is good. If this Ninja doesn't work that I got at the thrift store, it's too late for me to return it because I've had it for about 3 months. And at Goodwill, you could return electronics up to 7 days. Moment of truth of this actually works. If not, I'm gonna have to break out my go-to crock pot slow cooker. It excites me more than stuffing my face with food that you love. But to have something like this that I haven't made in a while, and nor do I know of anybody that actually makes it here in Las Vegas, carne guisada, it just makes me feel like I'm at home, which I am, literally. I'm at home. But it brings me back to the old days of growing up, working in the oil fields, working in watermelon fields, just being a little rascal mocoso out in South Texas, just going on about my business. And now I get to make this myself rather than relying on restaurants, which none of them, like I said, make it out here in Las Vegas, which might be an opportunity for the future one day. But that's going to cost a lot of money. But it would be cool to have my own taco truck. I mean, I would be for sure having Carne Guisada Tacos in there. That would probably be like the staple. Just Carne Guisada Tacos, Carne Guisada Nachos, Carne Guisada Burritos, Carne Guisada Chimichangas. Like, man, mouth watering. This is taking a little too long, and I don't got all the time in the world today because I want to have this done when Carla gets up. And before she goes to work, I want her to stuff her face with at least 2 Carne Guisada Tacos with cheese. The slow cooker is exactly what that is. It cooks slow. So the stovetop setting, I'm going to switch it over because I want this fat to just cook a little faster, because this is going to probably take like 30 minutes before it actually starts breaking down the fat from the fat and the little bit of chunks of meat that are on there. So this is going to speed it up and it's going to help me out a lot. And I'm pretty positive I could have this done by the time Carla wakes up and comes downstairs, which is going to be around 5:15 p.m. Just cover this to let the heat build up and check back on it in about 2 to 3 minutes. Can you hear that? Oh, that's cooking. All right. Take out just about all of these fatty parts. Up turning the stovetop setting back over to slow cooker. Right. The minced garlic. We mince this ourselves. Either we do it together, my mother-in-law, Carla, or just all three of us, we work on it. Mincing garlic is not easy, folks, especially with fresh garlic. Breaking it down, it's pretty hard, but Carla has a trick. I forget how it goes, but she has a trick of making it easier to peel and crush down. So I think that actually just a little bit more. There. Let that garlic sit for just a second. Stir that around with the spatula. It's really good to use wood spatulas when it comes to non-stick cookware, because you could scratch it and then it ruins it. Then things start sticking. There we go. You could wait if you want with the tomatoes, but they become so soft. It's not like I noticed the texture of anyways. Some people wait to add in the tomatoes. I don't care. Carla's never complained with the way I've made carne guisada. Well, I take that back. The only time she has complained about it is when I make it on a stovetop and cook it too fast to where the meat isn't soft. I set the standard the first time when I made it using a slow cooker, and it was really tender, that ever since after that, it has to be just as good. You can always add to, you can never take away from. And that goes for things in your life. You set a standard, you keep it there. You maintain, if you improve, that's your new standard. Never fall back. Never, ever fall back. This is just the meat sweat of the fat, the onions, the mixed garlic, and the tomatoes. And that's not even all of the ingredients yet. And look at all that flavors floating up. They say the less nose hairs you have, the better you smell. What? Nonsense. But it makes a lot of sense. All right, I still have it on the stovetop. I haven't switched over to slow cooking yet because that keeps it really hot. Once you switch it over to slow cook, the heat really drops and it won't cook as fast. So I'm keeping it here until I get the meat in, and then I will switch over back to slow cooking. All right, look at that. It doesn't need to cook all the way down. I just wanted it to mix pretty good. All right, everybody has their own way of doing things, but this is good to me because it's going to be cooking for hours. All right, time for the main ingredient. I know I said onion was, but you're not eating it for the onion. That's just part of the flavorness. So here's 3 pounds of roast beef. 3 pounds of roast beef. That's going to make some amazing carne guisada for days. 4 days. 4 days. This here is pretty dry. Like, there is moisture to the meat and moisture from it will render out, but that's not enough, folks. It needs some assistance, so we're going to give it just that. Remember the bouillon and 2 cups of water? We're gonna add that in there now. I might have needed a little bit more water, but that's okay. You don't really want the water to be flowing too high over. This isn't going in until later, right? To add in towards the end for that sauce to really thicken up. Stir it up. And then later on, we're gonna keep stirring it too. Every now and again. You gotta babysit this thing and it's worth it. Where did he go? Where did he go? You need to go outside? All right. All right, here's the Ninja still on the stovetop. I've mixed everything together and it's time to now move over to high, and we're gonna change this to 8 hours, and it should set in 3, 2, there, oh, 2. You're a little ahead of yourself, you overachiever. I love the cumin taste when it comes to carne guisada. It's one of the more highlight flavors that come out from the seasoning of this, and I'm gonna be adding some right now. Some people use around 2 or 3 tablespoons. I don't think that's enough for my palate, and from what I made in the past, I used a crap load of this. That's Tex-Mex. This is one of those dishes that when you take that one bite, you know you want 2 more trays, plates, order out. You want some for every day of next week of next week's. I did some research on this particular Ninja, and it was suggesting that if you wanted to speed up the cooking time, to switch it back over to stovetop and do that for about a couple of hours and then switch it back over to slow cooker. I'm gonna try that because I really want Carla to have some of this before she goes to work. I almost fell asleep on the couch over here, just chilling, looking up at the ceiling, being lost in my thoughts. I've let the Ninja cook on stovetop for about 30-35 minutes, and then now I'm gonna switch it over to slow cook. And then from there, I'm gonna have it at 8 hours, and then we'll check back up on it in a little bit. From 8 hours down to 6 hours and 46 minutes left. Oh, look at that drippage. Look at those juices fall in. Ooh, I could feel just with the spatula that this is starting to get soft. It's been just a little over an hour, and that's not even counting the time of 30 minutes-ish on the stovetop. But I'm glad I switched it over, because if you cook it too fast, that meat could be really tough. You want to slow cook it, let it be all nice and soft like. Let me turn this around, because that puka right here, that little agujero, is going to come up, and I don't want anything getting on the counters here, so I've tucked it more towards the edge. Well, we're waiting for this stuff to cook. I went ahead and washed the dishes. What is it now? 6 or 5:50? So what's that? 2 hours and 10 minutes has been cooking. Still got a little bit of ways to go. Okay, good thing I checked, because there's only a little bit of rice left, and Carla loves rice. And I do like to have some carne guisada on some rice every now and then, but I prefer tortillas. But Carla is the one I'm trying to impress, always. Even going into 13 years, May 3rd, which we were talking about going to Florida. Change of plans. We're not going to Hawaii. Yeah. All right, let me get out the rice cooker, which is usually right here where Carla puts it. Oh, don't pull any extra stuff out. I don't want to make a lot of noise because somebody's asleep upstairs. Oh my gosh, I'm making so much noise. And then the cover, I think this is it. Yeah, that's it. Shh, Sonny, be quiet. With brown rice, we're gonna rinse this out. This tends to get brownish, all right? I'm gonna mix it up with my fingertips, my soft reseller, non-calloused hands. Swoosh that around a little bit. Sometimes there's little particles that from the rice that come out. That's okay, little floaters. And then repeat the process 2 to 3 times, or as much as you feel happy with how clean your rice is. I'm using 3 cups of brown rice, but let's say you're using white rice in a rice cooker or want to start learning how to do it. It's pretty easy. You're going to say use 3 cups of white rice and then 1 more cup of that for water. So 3 cups of white rice, 4 cups of water. With brown rice is a little different. It could still be dried out if you don't put enough water. So I'm going to use 1.5 cups more of water to my 3 cups of brown rice. If you don't rinse out your brown rice really good, you see how these bubbles are starting to build up? It could get really bad to where it creates like a filmy type of residue coming up out of that little hole and then around the opening of the lid. It's not like tight sealed. This is something that could move around and bubbles seep through with the moisture in there, and it could create a lot of mess, which is why it's important to rinse your rice out correctly. This is where I become very impatient. But so excited as it starts to count down the hours. With the oven top option, I believe help kind of speed up the process, and you could almost tell the gravy, like by pushing it, that it is thicker, and that is really good. That is perfect. I am really proud of myself right now, but I'm also so hungry. Let's close that back up and leave it alone. When I didn't put enough water last time and I didn't rinse it out good enough, it was all dirty. So this was a good rinse. I just heard the little click and it's done. Look at that beautiful brown rice. Came out really nice in color too. And because it's done, you're gonna want to unplug it. Rice, like cement and paper, retain a lot of heat. So it's gonna be warm for a long time. It's gonna be perfect. I tend to pace a lot when I'm waiting, and I'm not the only one that does this either. I realize my brother Sylvester, my baby brother, does that too. He does it a lot. Gets annoying. And I catch myself like, Sonny, why are you pacing? When you're doing that, you're bored. You need to do something productive. Not like I haven't been, but we got time. I'm going to go work on some stuff to pack for tomorrow. Then we're going to come back and check on this. By that time, I think Carla's going to be up, and we're going to get her reaction. I hope you enjoyed this video. It's a lot different than other ones, but every day is different. This is my life, and I'm sharing it with you all. Hope you appreciate it. Like and subscribe. We're not done yet. We're gonna have some of this food before this video is over. Let's go into Albertsons and get some tortillas. 10 tacos? I need like 20 of them. These are always a little harder. Grills is softer. 24. This weather is ugly. As I'm walking in, the little rascal over here runs down. He only needs me when he needs to go outside and to be fed and to get some belly rubs. What's he doing? Is he gonna pee on the icebox? He's trying to find a dry spot on the cement because he doesn't want to go on the turf. He doesn't like to get his paws wet. He bougie, that dog. Alrighty. Whoa, I love those little sizzles. Meat has broken down really good. Oh my goodness. Yes. All right, I'm gonna need a fork. Oh, that's soft. It's like not even wanting to stick. All right, look at that little piece. Oh. Oh, that is so soft. So soft. Carla's gonna love this. There was only a little bit left, so I made. Excuse me.
That's good.
Good.
It's falling apart.
It's the best part about it.
No, it's...
This is why you don't want to open it. You just bite into it. I wish I could show you Carla's reaction, but she's wearing her uniform and privacy is everything between us and everybody else. But I could say that she's impressed by this one. The last time I made it on the saucepan over the stove, cooked it a little bit too fast and it was a little tough. It was still good, but this one, a lot softer, huh?
Yeah.
Really, really soft. And I'm excited for the vendors tomorrow that haven't tried this, and also other vendors that I want to hand out some tacos to. I got to pack up an order after finishing these tacos and pack up the totes for tomorrow for the flea market. So Carla reminded me about my reaction, the full reaction. Carne guisada with cheese, a little bit of hot sauce. Not too much because I don't want it overpowering the flavor that I created here of this magic. It's almost like you want to take back that you told the vendors that you bring them tacos and make up an excuse so that way you don't bring them tacos. You have more for yourself. That's how good this is.
Yeah.
All right, folks, I got an order to pack up. The Zuka bag that I showed you a few videos ago. Aren't very much videos on this channel. I just started it, and I am very thankful for all of you joining me on a daily basis, seeing what it is that I do on my end outside of thrifting. It sold for $99 and $30 shipping. I believe I got this for less than $15 about a week or so. So I'm pretty happy with this. I'm going to pack this up. All right, folks, I was able to get this packed and I'm going to go drop it off. I didn't realize FedEx closes at 7. It just so happens this package is a FedEx package and they close at 7. I didn't know that till I looked online. I was just curious and it worked out. Not bad for a one day's effort of trying to get everything done. Thank you.
Have a good day.
Have a good weekend. What an amazing day, amazing food, an amazing time to share with you. I hope you enjoyed it. Stay tuned tomorrow and every day after as I share with you vlogs of my daily life. Now to pack up the rest of the stuff as much as I can for tomorrow when day one starts for us at selling at the flea market. Still early, but so much more to do.